He did, Chris. His message was that the finger pointing needs to stop so the investigation can take place. He says his client's attention is focused on the families of the victims and trying to figure out how things went so terribly wrong.
So many people are pointing fingers at Travis and others without knowing really the facts.
Exactly when did Travis Scott know things had gone terribly wrong last Friday night, and does he feel responsible? Those are just two of the questions I posed to his California-based attorney, Ed McPherson. McPherson also wanted to address what he called inconsistencies in statements by Houston and Harris County leaders.
What finger pointing and inconsistency are you referring to specifically?
Just a day after the mayor and the police chief, as I understand it, said that, you know what, if the plug had been pulled earlier on this show, there could have been rioting. Just a day later, the police chief came out and said, you know, Travis Scott is the guy that should have pulled the plug, didn't pull the plug. He's at fault here.
McPherson says Scott remains devastated after the tragedy in his hometown and maintains that with such a large stage and crowd, pyrotechnics, and the loud music, there was no way for the rapper to know how desperate the situation had become. McPherson points out the few times when Scott did see someone in distress, Scott sought help.
When Travis knew something was going on, he would stop and make sure that somebody was helped. But as far as knowing the magnitude, knowing that something was happening that could ultimately lead to the death of now 9 people, certainly he didn't know any of that.
There are now more than 70 lawsuits connected to the tragedy, with Scott named as a defendant in at least 7. The plaintiffs see him as responsible for Friday's tragedy, but what does Travis Scott believe?
You know, I think anyone that is the headliner, that is up on that stage, that brings people together, brings 50,000 people together, is going to be devastated when this happens. And you're going to feel like, you know, was there anything I could have done different? And I'm sure he's asking himself those questions.
And back here live, we are outside the growing memorial here to all of those victims. Scott announced earlier this week that he was offering to pay for the funeral expenses of these victims. His lawyer says he has not reached out directly to those families because he was trying not to impose upon them, but he has announced an email address that he would like the families to get in contact with him through. That email will be in this story at click2houston.com. Reporting live from NRG, Keith Garvin, KPRC2 News.
Keith, thank you.